Evil here. Real quick, straight to the chase. Probably the reason you clicked on this video. Should you play Tarisland? If you're looking for a simple yes or no answer, then yes. Yes, I think most people would enjoy it, and I think there's probably no better time to jump in than right now, as this could potentially be the honeymoon phase with a new game, meaning it could possibly never be more fun than it is at this time. And maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe I'm wrong about that. In the same way, I can honestly say I was wrong about the game even being fun to begin with. I had terribly low expectations, if any at all, that were immediately blown out of the water. This game truly has no right being as enjoyable as it is, but it's that simple. It's fun. It's just plain and simple fun, and I won't argue with that. Now, if you're not off already downloading the game, maybe you want to hear why you should, or possibly even shouldn't, play the game. So, after spending almost all hours in game since the release of Tarisland, here's a quick list of both pros and cons if you're not yet convinced. First and foremost, I think one of the strongest, most glaringly obvious pro that we have already mentioned is the fact that the game is free to play. With absolutely no cost of entry, no sub fee, it really can't get much better unless they started paying you to play the game, right? And no, that is not why we're making this video. I have had a genuine, ridiculous amount of fun on this game in the past few days. Not only do they keep the game accessible with the insanely low entry cost, allowing MMO new or returning players easy access to the game, they go a step further in assisting the player to truly enjoy the game for both new MMO or returning veteran players. With things such as very in-depth raid tutorials, the use of often raid add-on features like DPS meters, healing meters, audio cues, visual cues, and a plethora of tools to assist, again, both new and returning MMO players. Tarisland feels quite easy on newcomers, all while feeling still very rooted with the classic MMO genre for veterans to feel something very familiar. As if the game wasn't accessible enough already, being on both PC and mobile, but Tarisland also supports full crossplay and cross progression between the PC and the mobile versions of the game, meaning you can farm, raid, PvP, whatever it might be, at your desk, at the couch, at work, at the train. You have access to all of your characters all of the time. Now, not only does it have all the basics of a solid MMO, but right at launch, we already had access to 9 classes to choose from, each with 2 main specs, skills trees, and many other ways to build out your character your way. Also included at launch was already 5 dungeons with varying difficulty modes, 8 10-player raid bosses with different multipliers, as well as multiple PvE modes, both solo, grouped, multiple PvP game modes you can queue solo or grouped. What I'm trying to say here is there is stuff to do, a fair bit of it at that. Even as they roll out the leveling process slowly over a few days, I'm not finding myself bored. If that's something you're unfamiliar with, simply day 1, we did have a level cap of level 20, day 2 is increased to 26, day 3 is increased to 30, and it's going to continue until we hit max level. And I personally haven't had an issue with that at all. We get a couple hours of content each day that you can farm on alts if you really want to keep playing, and then touch some grass, play something else. It's fine. And by now, maybe you're thinking, Spartan, I thought this was supposed to be pros and cons of a free-to-play mobile MMO. Where's the cons? Though they do exist, that list is surprisingly much, much shorter. First on that list for me is something that does bother me a bit, but definitely not enough to stop me from playing the game or hinder the fun. So while understanding it's a fun, free to play MMO and the game needs to generate revenue, the first big con would be the lack of visual progression, meaning that when you equip a different piece of loot, your character does not change the way it looks. You can, however, still change how your character looks through skins, that be through the in game store, or there are numerous achievements it appears we'll be able to complete throughout the course of the game that should unlock skins. As briefly mentioned earlier, the game does have a few time gates on different aspects. But if you are truly addicted, you're really loving it, and you can't get enough, then you can play on alts, as none of these gates carry over from character to character. Which does bring us to our next con with Tarisland. That is, as we briefly mentioned earlier, Tarisland does have a few too many time gates on different aspects of the game for some people's liking. Now, if you're truly addicted and simply can't get enough, you do have the option to play on alts or touch grass, whichever one is really more your thing. Which does bring us to our next con for Tarisland is any in-game purchases, skins, battle passes, whatever it may be, all does appear to be character bound and not account bound. So do make sure you make any purchases or large time investments into your main character. And those are truly my only two massive, glaringly obvious cons to Tarisland as of recording this video, currently level 30. Gonna level to 34 today, meaning we haven't seen the end game. We truly haven't seen all of the game. We don't know what's to come. Maybe pay to win does get really bad. Maybe it doesn't. We don't know. I can honestly say I expected the game to be very, very microtransaction, pay to win, mobile nonsense, World of Warcraft clone ripoff. I was expecting that, like I think most people probably were. Though it does turn out, at the time of recording, Tarisland feels no more egregious than any other MMO on the market, or so that is what it seems before being able to level to endgame. In conclusion, Tarisland in the simplest form is World of Warcraft Lite, where it doesn't do anything exactly new or revolutionary, but it definitely checks 95% of the MMO boxes. And what it does have, it's simply just doing proper. I can't stress this enough. This is our impressions as of now. We haven't seen the end game. We don't know what's to come. Maybe pay to win gets worse. Maybe it doesn't. We literally just don't know. What we do know is the game's not bad right now. It's free to play, it's free to download, and there is nothing stopping you from downloading it today, giving it a go for the insanely low cost of literally nothing at all. Log in, and I'll see you in the next one.